Hey, what's up everyone? Today we're going to be talking about the Yonex Percept 100D. But before we jump into this video, don't forget to like and subscribe on the way to 10K subscribers. Thank you everyone who has been subscribing the last few weeks. It means the world to the channel. That's our goal, is to get to 10K before January 1st. A lot of you guys are not subscribed that actually watch our videos, so if you enjoy our videos, please consider subscribing and liking this video. So that's right, Yonex Percept 100D. This is the racket that Karue Sell uses, formerly known as My Tennis HQ, now known as Karue Sell HQ, if I'm saying that right, I think, yep. So yeah, we got his racket in the house today. And a little bit about Karue. You guys know he's doing that series to 30. If you guys don't follow him, he's making a lot of great content over on his channel for the last few years. I was fortunate enough to even meet him in Bakersfield last year at the Futures I played there. And yeah, he's been using this racket. I strung it up with my Tourline blend that I've been currently using. Caviar in the main with the Super Toro in the cross. That is the string setup I had been using recently. For people that have not noticed, I did switch from the full bed of Super Toro. And so I threw that in there at 48 pounds. Also trying more low tensions in rackets these days. Recently put out the 44 tension video. And I'm trying to get down to that for the rest of like the year. I want to be playing at a lower tension. So, but since, you know, I did play test this racket when I was playing 50 pounds, mostly I did put it at 48. But yeah, this racket, first of all, before I go any further, I was very pleasantly surprised about this racket. In the past, I've had a hard time connecting with Yonex frames as far as like the potential of switching to frames. Obviously, you guys know I've recently switched to the Extreme Pro, or have gone back to the Extreme Tour, now known as Extreme Pro. But this racket is, for me, way up there. It did very well. I'll give you guys some details there though. Cosmetic wise, it's the same as the other Percept line. That's probably the part of the racket that I'm not the biggest fan of. I feel like the colors are just a little bit off. The feeling of the racket in hand is fine though. It has this kind of, it's not a gloss finish, but it's not a matte finish either. So it's nice, it feels good in your hand. But yeah, I'm very happy with this racket because in the past I've struggled a lot to enjoy the Yonex frames. Have not really connected with the E-Zone line in the past that well, or even the V-Core line for that matter. My favorite racket ever that I played with Yonex was that 95 V-Core, but I think this one might be my new favorite Yonex racket. So starting off on the groundies, from the back, I didn't add any weight to this. I didn't feel like I needed to. Maybe if I played with it for a longer period of time, I would end up doing so. Like if I needed to switch to this racket, or if I did, maybe I would add some at 3 and 9, maybe a little at 12 to give it a little bit more juice. But honestly, it felt very solid from the back, especially on the forehand. I felt like you could just let it rip. You kind of just let the racket do its job, and I really felt like that on the forehand wing. It's a great feeling to have with rackets. Some rackets, they might feel bulky in your hand, or they don't swing through the air as nicely as some other ones. But especially on the forehand side, I really did enjoy this racket. And that's with no customization, just with, of course, with my string in here. But yeah, able to put some good arc on the ball. You're definitely able to kind of flatten it out and throw some slap shots in there from time to time. So I really enjoyed this on the forehand. On the backhand, everything was quite solid as well. I just struggled with the launch on the backhand at times. Thought it was a little lower. I was catching net from time to time. With that said though, I'll still give it a 3 checks just because overall I did enjoy it. And comparing it to other Yonex rackets that I've played in the past, I just liked it way more. I think this racket is just really unique as well. Like it's got the 18 by 19 pattern. You don't see that, you know, that much. And also considering it's like 305 stock as well, I just think it's a very unique racket. So 3 checks on the groundies. Up at net, Volleys, once again, we'll give it 3 checks here. It gets the job done, and it gets the job done well enough to give it 3 checks. Definitely had some good touch and feel here, you know, with some angle volleys as well. Pushes the ball deep, it's stable up at the net. It really gives you everything you need. I didn't have any issues with it. Normally when I'm docking rackets, when they feel not stable at the net, you know, that little wiggle feeling, when maybe a harder ball is coming to you that has, you know, more penetration on it. But yeah, no issues at the net. We're giving it 3 checks. Now on the serve, Once again, no issues, especially on the flat and the slice. Definitely able to get some power on the serve. Maybe would have liked to have seen a smidge more kick on the second, but that's me being a little bit nitpicky. I think that could be because of the 18-19 bed. I'm used to a 16-19 with the Extreme Pro, but this bed is unique and does offer some other things as well. It's like that in between the 16-19 and the 18-20, so I understand why the ball might not bite as much with as much spin with the kick. But yeah, I mean, it definitely does well. It wasn't something that I didn't like about this racket, let's say that. So I'm actually still gonna give it 3 checks on the serve. On returns, I would just say it's just average. On the forehand, it blocked well. You could chip, it was stable on that side. But then on the backhand, similar to the Groundstrokes, I felt like I was catching the net a little bit. Maybe that's just me. I need to use my legs more. I need to, you know, drive the ball up with some more shape. But what I'm used to, it took a little bit of an adjustment. I was catching that like last little part of the tape a lot, just on return. So we'll give it 2 checks here, but it's nothing major, like it was solid. I think it will work for a lot of players here in this department. All right, now we're into the power category of things. At times, I will say this one more time, at times, I felt like it was too much power. But then at other times, I felt like it wasn't enough. That was the part of the racket that I had a hard time pinpointing. When I went after the ball on the forehand, it gave me everything I wanted. And then on the backhand, like I mentioned earlier, it was a little fluffy. It was, you know, maybe not moving through the court as much. It was catching net, which is so interesting because they're both groundies. I don't normally get that sensation with other rackets. So for the sake of the power, I didn't really have that constant freedom. So we're gonna give it 2 checks. It was because it was more unpredictable. I didn't get that same feeling all the time. Like I said, on the forehand, it feels amazing, but just like overall of the power category as a whole, a tiny bit unpredictable, so we're gonna give it 2 checks. And this also ties into the control factor here. These two kind of go hand in hand. They are opinionated. I feel like if you're somebody that's a club level player, you're gonna give this racket a way different power and control score than maybe I would, but I'm also gonna give this 2 on the control. Very similar, right? For me, it was just a little unpredictable. I feel like overall though, like even though this racket is 100 square inches, it is an 18-19 bed. I think players around my level, I mean, Karue is using this racket. If you're, you know, futures, pro even, college, maybe a high level junior can use this racket. For club players, you can definitely give it a go, but just you might not love it. But yes, I'm gonna give this racket 2 checks on the control. All right, maneuverability. I'm gonna give this one 3 checks right off the bat, which is surprising considering in the past, I haven't loved the feeling of Yonex rackets in my hand moving through the air. Like I said earlier, I love the VCore 95, but the VCore, you know, 100, 98, the E-zones in the past, they just never felt good. They felt a little bulky. Although this is a little bit bulky here, most of the time Yonex rackets are right here in the heart, throat, whatever you want to call it. Sometimes people don't like that. It didn't really bother me this time around. Also, sometimes the isometric head with Yonex frames, it's either you love them or you hate them. And in this review, I actually liked it. So yeah, the maneuverability overall with this, it didn't feel awkward. It was manageable. I didn't have any hard times with it. Is it my favorite type of racket in this sense? No, so that's why we'll give it 2 checks. But it's still like, it wasn't hindering my performance or anything, I don't think, with the maneuverability, especially since I didn't add weight or anything. So we're gonna give it 2 checks. Now on to stability. We're gonna give it 3 checks here for sure as well. No major issues. Yes, I didn't love it on the back end, but it wasn't the racket that it felt unstable. So yeah, at the net, it felt fine. There's not really much more to say. Like, it definitely did its job. There's nothing wrong in the stability category here. All right, comfort. This is a tough one. I didn't find the racket stiff or to hurt my arm or anything. Normally rackets that are under like the 64 RA and lower never bother my arm. I think maybe for a club player, you could have a hard time with this just because you might need to swing very hard and accelerate a lot to get a lot out of the ball. That's just because I think you might need to generate your own power, so then maybe you would get discomfort in your arm, elbow, wrist, or whatever. But I feel like for most players, you know, you play college, high level junior, you're pro, this is gonna be absolutely fine in your arm, no issues, we'll give it 3 checks. Touch and feel. I talked about how I really like this racket at the net. It was very solid. Did it blow me away? No, I've played with better rackets at the net. I think for a Yonex racket, I say it like that because, like I said before, I'm not a Yonex lover or have fell in love with Yonex rackets yet. I'm gonna give it 2 checks. I just feel like it did the job. It didn't do anything crazy though to surprise me. It was just average, so we're gonna give it 2. Now entering the spin categories, Topspin, gonna give it 2 checks here. On the forehand, I loved it. On the backhand, I had trouble getting that arc and returns and rally ball, so just gonna give it 2, but to be honest, on the forehand, it felt very solid, so I can't really give it a 1 either here, but it definitely was not a 3. And last but not least, we have the slice. Performed very average. We're gonna give it 2 here. I think for players that play one-handed backhand and want to have a 100 square inch racket from Yonex, this is definitely worth a demo. The slice is very important for those players. The slice is important in my game as well. And it got the job done. Was it exceptional? No. But were you able to get these knifing slices through the court and make it work? Yes. So we're gonna give it 2. So guys, there you go. The Yonex Percept, one of my favorite, if not my second favorite Yonex racket that I've played with to date. If you guys want to pick up a Yonex Percept 100D here or any other rackets from the Percept line or even any other tennis equipment in general, you guys can use our code to get a discount at Tennis-On. That's going to be it guys. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and we'll catch you guys in the next video.